Morning. I should say good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Wow. Thank you so much. You're the first person, you're the first guest I've had that I hope we are live already, actually.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah. You're the
Can
first
you hear
guest
me?
that was yes, I can very clearly. That was actually waiting for me to come on to like join the stream. Thank you so much. I've just
Yeah,
updated people now that we are live. So hopefully we'll have people join us soon. Good to have you
okay,
here.
thank
And
you.
I just want to say a very, very, very massive thank you to you for accepting to do this. And I just realized about an hour ago that you were actually in Australia. It didn't occur to me. For some reason, I thought that we were in the UK, but I don't know why it's occurred to me that way because of course your number doesn't show that it's a UK number, but it did just occur to me. So it's about an hour that I check. I'm like, what? Oh my god, 10 hours ahead, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you.
8 hours now.
Is it 8 hours?
8.
Eight.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We have
So
different
what
time
time is
zones
it
in
now?
Australia. It's
Oh,
3
okay.
a.m. 3.
Wow. Oh my god.
So it's
Thank
okay.
Thank you so very much for accepting to do this. So we'll just get right into it while we have people join us.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So this is Bright to Mom Chronicles, and what we do basically here is just to bring women who have been moms for certain years, not necessarily a long period, to come share experiences that relate to them, that is particular to them. And we have it that way because we are able to relate better. Um, I just hope this life isn't private.
Maybe you can log on another device to check.
To see, yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Just to make sure that people can see us and it's not just two of us on the stream. I'll just check through another device. Bear with me a minute, please. Okay. All
Is it
right.
on?
Yes, it's public, it's not private. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, so we just bring women to come share their own experience and we're able to relate better. We've had different um women come talk about like recovering from postpartum, miscarriage, talk about their career and how you can navigate it with motherhood. We've had people who have been waiting for years come share their experience and how they were able to navigate that season, caring for children alone in whatever country that you're in. And also, we've had awesome guests. So today is another spectacular one. And this is one topic I've been looking forward to, like having someone discuss with us because it's a very sensitive topic and a lot of people want to hear about it, but I don't know how to say, but people don't just, talk about it openly. Yeah, so this particular area, and I'm very happy to have you here with us today.
Okay.
So I'll just be reading your profile very quickly while we get into it. So we have Dr. Lola Okeowo here on the screen. She's a trained medical doctor, autism professional, behavior analyst, self mastery coach, and tech enthusiast. So you can see that we have like a powerhouse with us today. Imagine all this, being like a professional in all of this. She's the visionary founder of Autism Renewed, an online consulting practice dedicated to coaching parents on how to help their children overcome speech delay and other developmental challenges. She's also the host of the Autism Renewed Conference, an annual gathering designed to educate and empower parents and the public with actionable strategies to support children with developmental needs. A firm believer of parental empowerment, Dr. Lola champions the idea that an informed and equipped parent gives their child a parenting advantage, one that makes all the difference in navigating life's challenges and triumphing over them. In addition, she's passion Dr. Lola's passion for technology has led her to teach tech professionals how to transition into tech. So if that's one area you want to go into as a mom, you have the right plug here. Into the tech industry, access remote jobs opportunities, thrive by leveraging their existing skills and experiences. Dr. Lola is also a prolific author of several impactful books. We are really blessed to have you here, and a sought after speaker, having been privileged to speak on numerous platforms, webinars, conferences across the globe. Of course, I met her through one of the conferences where she spoke. And I was still discussing with my husband this evening that, do you actually know how I met her? And he was like, wow, you met her on that platform and you were able to bring her. Oh my God. It means yeah, so we share a similar coach. We share a coach on another aspect. And so I met her through that platform and I'm so grateful to have you here. Um her lifelong mission is to live a life of fulfillment, not just survival, and to help others do the same. And that is why we are here, to learn how to thrive rather over just surviving. You can connect with Dr. Lola Okelwo on various platforms on Instagram. She's Renewed. On Facebook, she's Dr. Lola Okelwo. On YouTube, she's Autism Renewed by Dr. Lola. And on LinkedIn, she's Dr. Lola Okelwo. With a virtual clapping ovation, let's welcome Dr. Lola. Good to have you
Thank
here,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Such an honor to be here.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for
You're
the
welcome.
privilege to be here. Hello, everyone. I can't see
Hello.
everyone, but I believe you can all see me.
Yes, they can see you and they'll see you after. For those that would come catch a replay, they would see you as well. So thank you. Before we dive right into it, I just usually ask one or two icebreaker questions and I'll just have a go at it very quickly. And that would be, if you were to have just one meal for the rest of your life, what would that meal be and why would you have that meal?
One meal.
Yes, one food. If you had to eat just one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mm. Funny, I'm not really a I'm not really a foodie. But let me
Hmm,
see. What is it that I really like of food? I'm not particular about any food, to be honest.
really? Wow. So
I'm not really.
you're not picky. You're not a picky eater.
I'm not really a foodie like that. I
Ah.
can do without food, so to maybe plantain. I like plantain, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
maybe,
Plantain it is then.
maybe not for the rest of my life. Because as I grow older, I'm more
What
conscious of
you
my
eat?
diet now, of my
Yes, yes.
carbs and my sugars and things like that.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay, nice.
I wish I could live
Okay.
on veggies if I could.
If you were to live on, so
I
if you
could,
were to live
yeah,
on just
veggies.
one thing, it would be veggies then.
One thing will be water.
Water. I mean, you have a choice. You can choose whatever it is that you just want to keep eating for the
Keep
rest of. So
eating.
let's say it won't make
Maybe
you fat.
plantain.
Maybe
Eh?
plantain. Okay, so
Maybe
I
plantain.
said it won't make you fat. Let's just
Oh, maybe
assume that it
plantain.
won't make you.
Maybe plantain, because plantain, like I eat it in different ways. I can boil it, I can roast
Mm,
it, I can fry it. I like all methods. Yeah.
yes, in different ways. Okay, nice. So if we are to storm your house, we know the first thing to bring to your house that would
Yeah, I
make you
like
smile.
plantain.
All right. So
Mm.
what's that one thing that never runs out of your fridge? Like whenever anybody comes to your house and they open your fridge, it's always there.
Mm. That's tricky now that you have children.
Right.
Now that I have kids, that one is very tricky. That I have kids now. Can you say
Mm.
anything will run out?
Anything like it doesn't matter. Even it doesn't matter the time of the day. Even if your
Mm,
kids eat it every day, but you make sure it doesn't run out. It's always in your fridge.
let me see.
Is it milk
I think one
or
fruit or the other. Fruit.
fruits? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
fruit.
Fruits.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
the same
maybe
for me as well.
apple or strawberries or
Or
fruits.
strawberries.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think fruits.
fruits
Yeah, or
basically.
blueberries.
Yes.
Yeah, fruits. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Mm.
Okay, thank you so much. It's same for me as well. Fruit doesn't run out in my house because my son really likes fruit, so I always make sure that I have fruit at home. Okay, thank you very much. So we are going to jump
Mhm.
right into it, and you are going to have the floor. I'll stop
Okay.
talking and I'll let you have the floor.
Oh, I think you're gonna ask me like a question and
Do you
answer.
want us to do it that way, or you just want to?
No, I think question and answer. That's what I prepared for.
It's
Because
nice.
because
All
this is
right,
their
that's
question and
fine.
answer. That's why
Yeah. Okay.
I want
All
to
right.
be
So
bold.
can all right, no problem. Then okay. So what does it really mean? What does it mean? Let's assume that we don't know what it is to have special needs. Can you walk us through what it means to have a child with special needs?
Okay. Okay. I know that I'll be answering some of those questions in a very different way from
Yeah.
what people are really used to.
Okay.
And like the way I always say that the concept of how people define what special needs is, I
Mm,
feel that there's a little bit of I don't know, I just don't feel it's always the best. And why I say that is that's why a lot of children who have challenges are often missed because not all children will fall into the classical terminology that people want to call special needs. Because
yeah.
what people want to call special needs is when a child has limitations or challenges or delay. So there's a difference between like there could be a disorder and there could be a delay. How do I mean? If somebody is having challenges walking, but all
Mm-hmm.
the features that the child needs to walk are present,
Yeah.
we could be thinking about a delay in walking. But if
Mm-hmm.
a child doesn't have a limb, that's like a disability, or
Yeah.
something is fractured or broken, that's like a disorder.
Yeah.
So that will still cause the limitation of walking. So what
Mm-hmm.
people often want to classify as special needs is when milestones, like we have different developmental milestones. What are developmental milestones? There are different parameters of development that we all go through from baby to child or to adulthood. So
Yeah.
speech and language, cognition, motor, um, um, what do you call it, social skills, emotion, behavior. Then we have
Mm-hmm.
other things, other features, maybe um visual. Those are not milestones, but I mean other parameters that can be measured. So if there's any like disorder or how do I put it? Will I say not the right order of formation of
Mm-hmm.
function
Yeah.
in those things, then people now term it as special because it becomes very obvious. Do you understand? So if a child
Yeah.
has, for example, cerebral palsy and a child cannot walk, a child cannot talk, a child cannot move, we term it special needs because those children have some people say additional needs. They have a lot of need that they need attention and help to
Mm-hmm.
get through a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said those terminologies. Sometimes you see some children, they may not have they may be able to talk, they may have other skills, but as little as maybe social skills, as little as emotional and behavioral could be a challenge. But because they're doing well in school, they seem to be very bright, you miss it. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So the way I normally say it is I believe that everyone, every child would have needs in specific areas that would be special. And that can even be in different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? So,
Yeah.
because I like parents to have a concept that as a parent, you take responsibility for your child's journey, such that if you have that mindset, even when a child has what we call the classical thing, the perspective with which you look at it, okay, my child has a challenge. What is the challenge? How can I help my child? That's why some parents are often in denial because it looks like, but the child is doing well in school, but some other areas, the child is struggling. Some children as well, the so-called disability or special needs does not appear until they get older. So, for example, if a child has a challenge in the cognitive area, When they are younger, you may not know because they don't have a need for that skill. So you will not see the gap. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand? So they
Yeah.
can walk, they can talk, it looks like everything is okay. But when they now get to an age where they need to function with those skills, you start seeing deficit. Do you understand? So
Mm-hmm.
a child might have a problem writing, but you will never know until the child is like 6 or 7 and expected to write in school, and
Yeah.
the child cannot write or the child cannot understand. So that's why I want to change the concept, because it's so easy for me to define special needs and say, okay, when a child has a significant delay or disorder in any of the milestones, and it becomes apparent they now need additional support to get through. Like, people will need additional support at different points in time. I give an example. If you have a 15-year-old that is addicted to cocaine and alcohol and cannot function, mentally unstable, that season of his life is it's to me, it's special needs, but he has needs that are special in that season to get
Yeah.
through it. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
I like to change people's mindset, because it also helps someone who has a child that has a diagnosis, so to speak, to shift their mindset from the diagnosis being termed the special need to looking at the diagnosis like, if no matter the diagnosis, what are the challenges? I tell people that you cannot help a child from the point of diagnosis, because you have 3 children who have the same diagnosis, but we're not dealing with the same thing. So if you can take that away, it brings down the barrier and the concept. So I can easily define special needs and say, okay, when children have additional needs or the needs for support in different areas. But if you drill it down, you realize that almost every child or almost everyone would have a need in one particular area. It may not be as apparent as a child who cannot walk, who needs a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? It may not be as apparent as a child that cannot feed himself. It may be as simple as a child that is struggling with emotional regulation, always lashing out, can't control his emotion, having anger issues, which may be due to even anxiety. Children have anxiety. It may be due to so many other things. You have children also in teenagers who have hormonal issues and things like that. But because they are functioning well in other areas, they can talk, they are doing well, they're in quote bright, you don't see that need that is that they can't function accurately in an area. Do you understand? So I'm trying to balance the concept, because I believe that having that concept becomes empowering for parents, and not either settling in a diagnosis, or how do I put it, or wearing an identity of a label. Do you understand? So I don't know that I don't know that I defined it, but I'm sure you get what I'm saying. I don't know that's a good definition. But if I want to define it, the way I would define is I look at all the developmental milestones or area of function of an individual. So certain people would have additional needs, or they will need more additional support, and that will vary depending on what we're dealing with. So we could also have it as a delay or a disorder.
Or a
So like what I
disorder.
explained with walking, do you understand? So all of
Mm-hmm.
them could be classified in special needs, but it will vary because it depends on the extent of what we are dealing with, the root cause, and the prognosis. Let me put it that way. So I don't know if I don't know if I
Yeah, it
defined it,
does.
but
It does. It does. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for that. So, after a mom identifies that her child needs additional needs, as I said, at a certain age, no matter what the age would be, as you have said, some children are born with it, some develop it when they
Exactly.
are teenagers and
Ready to
all.
go.
So, after a mom recognizes that, okay, my child has this, needs additional support, how can she prepare herself mentally and physically as well to support that child?
Okay. I have a book I recently wrote. It's titled Embracing the Journey After a Diagnosis. That's the
Mm,
title of the book.
okay.
And so if a parent has gets a diagnosis, the first thing is, of course, different emotions can come, which is fine. People go through different form of grief, because people don't realize that when a parent most times has a diagnosis, it's a form of a loss. Do you know that? Parents that
Mm,
have children with special needs, they also grieve, because
mm,
you grieve on two ways. For example, if a child was not even born with that disability, a child has an accident, that means that the child has become somebody else
yeah.
that you didn't even have before.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Or you have someone has a spouse and the spouse loses his sight. That's a
Right.
different person. So
Yeah.
all the person you knew it's like you've lost that person. Or the person you wish you're going to have a future with, or the child you're going to have a future with, is not the child you have, the dreams you had. So
Yeah.
parents grieve the loss of that child, even though the child is still here. That's why grief and mourning is not the same thing. You mourn someone that is dead, but you can grieve a loss. You can grieve the loss of a relationship. You can grieve the loss of a friendship. You can grieve a loss of someone who is still alive. But either the person is not in the same state they were, or the person is not with you. So if someone that has a divorce can grieve, it's different from mourning. So parents can actually grieve, and people don't understand that because they now have another child, so to speak, different from what they had. So that means that their dreams and their journey will now have to be different. So that first phase, it can throw them off because most of the time what they're dealing with is like, I have to, you know how you have dreamt like my child is 10, I will do this, I'll do that. You know the way you used to dream as a child, the way you have dreamt of all the things. So it's like the life of the child and their life flashes beyond you, like they don't even know what to think. And sometimes they're like, sometimes it looks like because everything looks bleak. So when they first get a diagnosis, it's okay to go through all those emotions. So from denial to aggression to anger to resentment towards whether God or themselves, asking why, all those things are okay. But I feel that you have to get to a point where you now sit down. And that's why I was talking about the fact that remove every label. And I tell my clients all the time when I work with parents, when you come to me, I say, I don't really care about the diagnosis. Because what happens is that when you put a diagnosis in front of a child, that means automatically you limit the child. So everything the child cannot do, you say it's because of this diagnosis. So, but once you take away the label, when after you have gone through all those emotions, sit down and okay, if you're in a state to talk to the professional who told you the diagnosis, it doesn't have to be that day. Go home and reflect. But one thing is that I wanted to say something that I remember now. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Now, as I was preparing for this thing, one of the things that God has always taught me as principle, and I wanted to share is this. Ideally, every parent, before you have a child, there must be something that God has told you about that child. It's just that most of the time, most of us don't go through the correct process. The Bible says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. The way God explained that scripture to me, that everything begins with the Word. Everything. You want to start a business, it begins with the Word. You want to have a child, it begins with the Word. Because the Word is the foundation of everything. So that child, the first thing I will ask you is that, what is the foundation of that child? Before that child came, what did God tell you about that child? Because you need a picture of a future that is bigger than what you're seeing to help you to fight and change your perspective. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because what you see, everything that you see was formed by what was not seen. So the doctor can give you the fact, but there's a truth that is superior to the fact. So some people say, don't give parents false hope. I said, no. Every parent needs a level of hope to fight and keep believing for their child because it's a journey. Of course, I agree that it's a journey, but there must be something you are beholding to keep at it even on the rough days.
Yeah.
That's how I start. That's the mentality I will start with the parent. If you have never sat down to seek God about that child, to me, the first thing at that point in time is that's what you should do. Such that as you journey on, every contradictory report, everything meant to discourage you. Once you behold something stronger, it won't be strong enough to discourage you to keep going for that child. Do you understand what I'm saying? So ideally, like I said, if before you had the child, God had given you something that's communicated to you. If something like this come, you go back to the maker. Say, I mean, God, if you said this and this contradicts it. Yes, even if you have to walk a road to fight or to navigate, whatever. But that picture that you have, or that scripture, whatever encounter that you have, it will be too strong for you to let go and say, this child will not amount to anything. You will tell yourself that even if I have to walk a road, but the end would definitely align. For me, that's the first thing. Because because it's a journey, and so many things are going to happen on that journey. And there's so many things that can be determinants of the child's outcome. Like I'll get into, and I'll continue, and I'll talk about it a bit later. So for me, that's the first thing. Go to all the emotions, but that foundation must be rooted. Because I mean, children are God's. We don't own them. We don't own them. We're caretakers, and God owes us communication. So even if a child has a challenge, I need God to help me navigate because it's not my child. God owns the child. So the best of professionals are still men, right? The best of doctors are still men. Okay. So for me, that's the first thing you do. So if you have never done that, you go back and do that, go to the right thing. But it will be very difficult, I know, at that point. But I
Definitely.
believe that you need that foundation to ground you to navigate. That's the first thing. So after you do that, then go find out from the professional what extent you are dealing with. What are we dealing with? And what are they? Because the truth is that it's not a God forbid matter. Even if you want to use faith, faith must have a target. So when the doctor has given you a diagnosis, has given you something to channel your faith, both with science and with faith together. It's not
Mhm.
science or it's iron and because God is the one that mantles on men to come up with inventions and things like that. But you need to know what you're dealing with so that even if you're going to practically do therapy or whatever, you know what you're addressing. Even if you want to be using faith to target, your faith must have a target. You can't be praying
Target.
and say every day. No, your
Yeah.
faith must have a target. Your
Specific.
prayer must have
Yeah.
a target. So get what
Mm.
you're dealing with a professional. So when they get what even if they give you a diagnosis, let them split what the issues are that form the diagnosis because you can't help a child from the point of diagnosis. Okay. Then, of course, depending on what the diagnosis is, they now refer you to the professionals. Whatever they do, now get to a point where you must begin to seek knowledge. For example, what I do now, I don't work directly with children, I work with parents because I believe that the parents at the core, parents must rise up, to embrace their identity
Mm.
as therapy partners to be able to help their children navigate. Because no matter how much therapy you do, you need to first understand the concept of therapy. Concept of therapy is concept of practice. So there's no way you can get as many hours with the therapy. So a parent now needs to get to a point where they they must embrace that identity to begin to support their child. I would like to begin to fight for their child. Okay,
Yeah.
work with the professional. They're not your enemies. They're not against you. But I was talking about you seeking God because you know
Mhm.
that a right professional can make the difference. A right school can make the difference.
Mm.
I've had clients who, when they change the child's school, that was the game changer for the child.
Mm.
So how do you know the right professional? And whether you like it or not, it's not every professional. Some of them, I'm sorry to say, they're anointed by the devil. I'm
Mm.
sorry to say, yeah. You have to, yeah, I'm being honest, understand that kind of thing. So it's not everybody that is aligned because your professionals must align with your faith or what you are believing for your child.
Yeah.
Any professional, any school that is not in line with what they may not have to be Christians. That doesn't have to be Christians, no. But they are not
Mhm.
speaking negative because if you're doing this and they're speaking negative, they have a local standing. Just like if your child's teacher is telling your child that your child can never make it and be brilliant. You know those
Mm.
words, it can carry its power and
Yeah.
really happen.
On
So
the child. Yeah.
yeah. So when you now have a diagnosis, you sought God, you seek your professional, what you are dealing with, ask them if you don't have any idea. Okay, they'll tell you go and see this professional and do it. And ask them even for resources. You can ask, can I read more on this? Can you tell me more about it? If you don't have, then go and start seeking, get knowledge. But of course, you have to be very careful because there's so many things on the internet, so many
Mm.
opinions. So you have to look for
Yes.
credible sources,
Yeah.
to get knowledge and see how you can begin to partner with the professionals, whether it's school or whoever, to help your child. Because
Mhm.
the parent is the core. In fact, you make the decision of the school, you make the decision of the professionals, even if they recommend to you. And like I was talking about the concept of therapy, regardless of what diagnosis, like I think I've talked about it, that the diagnosis will not matter. The challenges you outline and begin to deal with them. Regardless of the diagnosis, the concept of therapy is different. Treatment is not therapy. Treatment is you use tablets and go home. Therapy is the concept of practice. So the child is delayed. The child is trying to catch up. The child cannot walk. So we're trying to exercise and make sure the child builds the skills to catch up. So you means you need a lot of opportunities of practice. You need a lot of practice, which you can't get in a therapy room. Therapy is
Mm.
expensive. Even if the
Mm.
government is paying, government cannot pay for as many hours as you need because there's a lot of people who need the service. We don't even have enough professionals to cover anywhere in the world. And that's the
Mm.
truth. But the child is with the parents or the caregivers most times of the day. So if they can partner effectively with the therapist, that means that they can transfer some of the things that are being done in the therapy room at home
That's
for more
true.
opportunity of practice. Because everything the child is learning is not learning for the therapy room or learning for school, it's learning for life. So you
Yeah.
must be able to replicate in different settings. So who is now the bridge that can connect the child to the parent? So that's why the parent must rise up to now understand that because what happens is that see, when your child has a challenge, the sacrifices we will make on our journey as parents is not determined by all the dreams that we have had. When your child has a challenge, sometimes some of those dreams, unfortunately, will have to drop. I'm sorry. So
Mm.
you have to now get to that point, reevaluate your system, reevaluate your dreams. I've had clients that say at the client the other day, they're telling me all the things you're not available. I say you're not available. You leave the house 8, come back by 5. And you're telling me what you want to implement. I mean, it's hard, but You choose your hand. If you don't pay the price now, I mean, she came like last year. She said she has not done anything. You're not going to see any change, no matter. Room 3 wants Panadol. So, so the sacrifices you make. So you don't have to look at the system, what adjustment. But remember, it's a journey. So don't overwhelm yourself. You can't do like everything, like, all this thing I've said. It's not as if in 1 month, everything. No, take it one step at a time. Extend grace to yourself. Extend grace to yourself. Then seek community, right? Community. Then, like, I would say something too. How do you say your community or your village? Sometimes it doesn't have to be the closest people around you, because the closest people to you may not be the best encouragement to you. That's the truth. So, but look for people who would, even if you don't understand, but they can at least be a source of encouragement. Be a source of hope, even if you don't understand. Sometimes you don't need to understand what someone is doing, but you don't have to be exactly. So that's why that's how I take the journey for a parent. So you find out, but the most important thing is that you must not rise up to embrace that identity as a therapy partner, to gain knowledge, to become equipped, partner with the professionals, and begin to evaluate your system, your family dynamics, your environment, because depending on the challenge your child has, some things may now need to change. But of course, like I said, it has to be over time. You don't have to be drastic. Then you have to know that it's a journey. Even if you have bad days, you can get over and keep going. And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. So you mentioned something about identity, and I understand that there are some parents who may not, for for certain reasons, may not be there physically for their children, and then that's when we see them contracting this responsibility out to caregivers and all of that. Even if that would be the case, they still need to like pass on that, you know, notion, that identity to the caregivers, such that they're not just paying for people to
Exactly.
destroy what they're trying to build,
Exactly.
which is very, very important. Okay, so after a mother has, identified all this, she has gotten all the resources she needs and all, what are the practical steps? I know you mentioned that you have to be there, but what are other practical steps that they can support these children with, with their developmental needs and whatever support that they need? What are like the practical things that they can now begin to do at home?
Okay. So like I said, it depends on the challenge the child has. So when you say special needs, not one thing. It
Mm,
could range. Like I said, it could be speech or language, it could be behavior, cognition, social skills, mobility. Some children have challenges mobilizing. So like I said, so when you identify and outline the challenge the child has, that
mm,
begins to give an idea of the kind of interventions they will need and the kind of
yeah.
professionals you need to partner with. So of
Mm,
course, we know that sometimes difficult to get professional waiting list. That's why I said
yeah.
that getting knowledge. So one of the practical things you have to start with first of all is that you have to first of all create a home environment that is functional and right for the child, suitable for the child, depending on the challenge. So some children are, if your child has mobility issues, for example, you have to look at the environment. You cannot have an environment that there's no space, a lot of restriction around. If your child even
Mm,
has maybe behavioral issues and what do you call it, hyperactivity and all over the place, you need to create an environment that allows the child to express himself. Also, some children will have things like, because they don't really understand, some children may not understand, the understanding is not really yet there. They can
yeah.
elope and run around. So, first of all, the location of your house. I was speaking at a community last week, and I was still talking about this. It's been found that quite a number of children with special needs and autism in particular, they have been found to be drowned. I'm sure in UK you see a lot of stories of children drowning because they're
Mm,
attracted to water. So for me, if you're a parent who has a child with special needs, this suburb that you choose to go and get a house, you need to be conscious of it. If you have a river around, if you have a pool around, all those things, I don't think you should get a house near those kind of places.
mm,
Even if you have to, I mean, I will not advise you should, but even if you have to, can your child swim? you know. So the location of the house matters. You can't have a child with special needs who is restless up and down and you're staying on the third floor. that has a barcode. Even if you lock the door, I mean, anything can happen and the child will open and the child may want to jump, things like that. You have to sort of factor those kind of things. Then now, even in your house and the home environment must be an environment that is functional. Some children are sensitive to sounds and noise, so you cannot be having excessive lights, all this mood light that looks like disco light. Some houses have all those colorful lights. Some children are
Yeah.
very sensitive to those kind of things. Noise. So you have to create an environment. And that's what inclusion is. Inclusion means that you curate the environment of the system to be suitable to the child. Because the child is a stakeholder in that house. So you have to create an environment that is functional. If the child is still maybe what do you call it? Some children have behavior issues, head banging, things like that, to ensure that all the things they can use to harm themselves, the straps are locked away. You create what do you call it? All these locks and all those things, all your sockets. Child-proof your home, like when you have a toddler. It doesn't matter the age of the child. Or so you have to consider those kind of things. If you have a restless child, you shouldn't be having a child that's living in a duplex and they have a staircase. The child can be running up and down. Things like that. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Now let's not talk about things you now do to help the child, depending on what we are dealing with. But you need to create a structure in which everyday interaction with that child becomes opportunities of practice for the child to be able to build skill. So, for example, language now, if your child has speech delay or things like that, you have to use daily interaction. Because like language now, you don't learn language in isolation. If you learn language, it's because you want to use to interact with someone, right?
Yeah.
So how are you interacting with the child every day? Every opportunity. So you create opportunities of interaction that become opportunities of practice for the child. So what are the daily activities you do? Shower, feeding time, dressing time, all those opportunities of interaction must be your opportunities of practice. So another thing I will say is that look at your child with the eye of who you believe them to be, not what you see. I say that again. You look at your child with the eye of who you, because it shapes a perspective. And what I find is that most parents, they look at the child with the limitations, so they don't even give the child opportunities. They don't. They say the child cannot talk, so they don't talk to the child. You understand? They don't really. You can't understand now. If I say, "Have you done this?" You can't do this. Have you tried this? So how do you know a child can't do something if you're not giving the child an opportunity? So don't look at the child. It doesn't mean that you're now setting a realistic standard and now pushing them to do what they cannot do. No. But you're looking and interacting with the child. So like if you're talking to the child and you're doing something for the child, talk to the child like they understand you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes children with special needs, they understand more than they can express. So, but if you're judging them by their expression, then you'll be making a mistake. The same thing in school. Some of them understand that they can express, but unfortunately in school, how do they measure our assessment? They ask you, do this, do this. So you're
Based on what
testing
you
the
can
child by
do.
their weakness. You're testing them by their, just like a stroke patient. Someone that has stroke, they can't talk, but they can understand everything you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing. Some children understand more. So, but because you're testing them by a matrix that is a weakness, so you assume they don't understand. So that's why you need to number one, see them how you believe they should be. Then create a system. So, like I said, depending on what the child is dealing with, one of the most important things is communication. When you can help a child, give a child a mode of expression, it really helps. So even if a child has limited language, what are the other ways you can get them to express themselves? You can use sign language to teach them. You can use flashcards. You can use pictures. We have, of course, AAC devices, which are like tablets that you can use to communicate. But not everybody has access to that. But the most important thing is that you want to teach them an opportunity, a way to express themselves. Some children start typing even before they talk. Start typing. Some children start writing before they talk. So like that's why I said, give the child every opportunity. So don't say because a child can read before they talk. Because you don't need to be able to talk to be able to read. How do you read? You need your eyes to read, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to talk to read. So most children start reading, but because they may not really be able to talk, but they understand. So if you not give them an outlet of expression, maybe drawing, that's why. So give the child a lot of opportunity of expression, drawing, painting, like giving channels of expression while you're working on the language. So there are different ways to work on the language. Of course, like I said, daily interaction, talking to the child, using words, and giving opportunities of practice. Of course, there are some other things, there's some apps that you can use to also expose the child to speech development apps and things like that. There are other things, like I said, like it's so different, depending on the root cause. There's other things that we could be dealing with. So if you have behavioral issues, for example, behavior challenges, head banging, and all that, it will be interfering with language development. Because when you are not settled, you can't learn, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just having behavioral issues, they may be struggling with language development. So what do you want to do? You want to bring down the behavior, give them an opportunity to express themselves. So if they can't express themselves, they can start having behavior, or behavior is causing the delay. So depending on what we're dealing, so we're dealing with behavior. We look for channels to manage the behavior. What's causing the behavior? It could even be a medical issue. Some children may have a medical issue. They have constipation, they have headache, but because they cannot talk, they can
Because we
express
can't
themselves.
see.
They start
Yeah.
misbehaving. So the first thing, and everything the child manifests, whether it's a behavior or a language delay, the first thing you'll be thinking about is that, okay, why is the child acting
Doing
this
this.
way? What's my child trying to communicate? Every time point, I think about what is my child trying to communicate with me. So you need a lot of patience, a lot of repetition, a lot of love. And sometimes the child may be expressing the opposite of what they want to express, because
Mm.
emotional regulation has to be taught as well. So some children, they've not mastered how to regulate their emotions. So they're lashing out because they're trying to express something, but that's not the right way. So you don't counter by lashing out. You understand?
Thank
Because
you.
your children will pick regulation from you. If you are dysregulated, your child becomes dysregulated. So the way you regulate, you model regulation to your child. So depending on what you're dealing with. So like I've thought about language, I've thought about behavior now. Things like social skills. Some children may struggle not knowing how to play. So they may be playing very rough, pushing somebody. But don't deal with the child from the point of the behavior. Look at the behavior. What is the behavior? What is it trying to? How can I begin to teach? Like
Teach.
I had a parent that I consulted with some maybe last month or 2 months ago, and she was like, the child in school has behavior, okay? Because when people say all those things, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Give me the exact thing. Because by the time they break it down, and because the child has a diagnosis, like I said, when the child has a diagnosis, everything that happens, we always want to say it's because of the diagnosis. And I said, no, the challenge is there, but there's a child there, there's a person there. So don't always put the issue. That's the reason. If not, you will not try to solve the problem or help the child.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, what
Mm.
is the behavior? There's always disciplinary people in school. Say, give me an example. Say maybe on assembly ground, you'll be pushing other children in classes, you'll be pushing other children, not allow them to concentrate. And I asked her, I said, do you know that the child may not even know that it's wrong? She was
He's
like, "Ah, but
doing
it's
that.
old.
Yeah.
Maybe the child's like 11 or so. But
Mm.
he's 11 years old or he's 9 years old." And I said, no, as a parent, you must have this mindset that everything is taught. Don't ever assume your child knows anything. Even the child is 13.
Mm.
Don't ever assume your child knows anything. Everything should be taught. I said, do you know that you may not know? She said, what do I mean? I said, okay, when he comes back from school, sit him down and just ask him. Just say, ask him, why do you normally do this thing? Ask him and hear what he says. I said, whatever he says, now teach him the appropriate behavior. Don't just tell him. Don't say behave. I said, when you say behave appropriately, what does that mean? I said, tell him exactly,
What
describe it
to
to
do?
him, then do
Mm.
role play. Tell him to now, yeah, do it, let's do it, and let him do it for it to you. That's how you
Yeah.
teach children, regardless of the age, even if it's a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. Never say a child can, maybe he's 12 years old, you should be able to do it. Because also
No. Yeah.
remember, when children have special needs, developmental age is different from chronological age. Chronological age is your age by birth. Developmental age is based on the skill you have based on those milestones. So a 7-year-old by age, chronologically, in terms of emotional regulation, maybe operating as a 4-year-old. So you
Mm.
can't say that, that's why people say, the child should have outgrown this behavior now. I said, no, children don't outgrow behavior. Let me say it again. Even crying, children don't outgrow any behavior. What happens is that they build a higher skill to navigate. That's when you don't see the lower behavior. So when you say my 5-year-old should have outgrown crying, no, children don't outgrow a behavior. They should build a higher skill. So some children, if they've not built that skill, you now have to intentionally help them build the skill. So when the child builds a higher skill, you're now able to navigate and you don't see the lower skill. So that's the mindset. So I told her that when he comes back, ask him whatever he says. Now just explain to him that it is not an appropriate behavior and show him what an appropriate behavior. Don't just tell him. Show him
Mm.
and let him act it. People should model and what they call it, act it out and role play it out. And she
Mm.
called me. She said to me, I said, like, do I know that? When she asked the boy said he didn't know. He was just
Mm.
playing. And I said, see, so you model it and teach him, and don't just teach him, you continue. So even when you have a child also with special needs or with a delay, have that mindset too. Think about what level are they developmentally. So you meet them at where they are and begin to help them. But remember, lots of frequency, intensity, repetition, and of course, partnering with the professional they are working with. you know, they also help you because, like I said, it's different paths to it. Professionals in school, therapists, depending on the modality. So that would encompass, you know. But one thing I want parents to always know is that focus on, how do you call it? Think about the future. Parents with the future in mind. And what that means is that if you're parenting with the future in mind, don't place too much. No, let me balance this. Don't place too much emphasis on academics above skills.
Hmm.
And that's what I was telling you the other time, that some parents, some children are often missed because they are doing well academically. But when it comes to some areas that are deficient, so
And
they will,
skills.
they will
Yeah.
not think there's anything wrong. So,
Mm.
so if you do that, because most of the academics we need, we don't need them to function in life. So if therapy interferes with academics, you can cancel academic and let the child go for therapy. I had a parent who was telling me that I was consulting with her and she was like, okay, her child is going to 5 days a week, but she had this therapy place that they wanted to enroll the child to come maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But the time they gave her is going to be clashing with school. I said, cancel school, because if your child has developmental delay or special needs, therapy is part of their learning.
Yeah.
So therapy is part of school, in
Mm-hmm.
quote. It's part of their learning. Because what is school? School is to be educated, and education is what? Learning for life. So a
Mm.
child trying to catch up developmentally, learning to talk, learning to function, is learning for life. So
Yeah.
maths and English, and trying to learn how to tie your shoelace, learn how to feed yourself. I mean, feeding yourself is more important. You need that for life. And you're
Yeah.
doing maths. So I told her, I said, no. I said, those 2 days, cancel school. He doesn't have to go, let him go to therapy. Because what you don't know is that the child doesn't even have enough skill to function in school to learn. So the
Oh,
therapy
yeah.
is where it's going to build the child. So what happens is that you're wasting time, spending all the time thing instead of concentrating your time to build the skill.
What you
So those are
need.
too many things that parents will have to understand. So, you know, understand what is important per time, per season. So some things have to go, you know, cut down some excesses. The child doesn't have to be everywhere, do everything. What is important? Because even when it comes to developmental milestones and delay, there are some things that will be prerequisites to some other things you want to build. So focus on what is important part time as you work with your professionals or whoever, the therapist or whatever. So focus, but you have to be the champion because it's your child. You lead the team. You know, you're part of your child's multidisciplinary or called clinical team. Caring for the child.
Yeah.
You're part of that team. So you
Yeah.
lead the, because you are the one that is the parent. You are the one that has the goal and the vision for your child. So you go to
Mm-hmm.
your professionals with the vision you have for your child and they
Mm-hmm.
partner with you to tell you how to help your child accomplish it or
Yeah.
navigate the
That's-
challenges.
it
And then
just it
so
takes
much answer for one question.
intentionality. No,
Sorry.
it's a lot. It's quite a lot to take in. It takes intentionality. It takes intentionality to be able to identify how to help, what to do, and all of that. Well done. Thank you, ma. So how can a mom recognize when she's burning out? Like what are the signs that shows that okay, this person is already or I'm already burning out. I need to take some time to some steps back to refuel. What are those signs that shows that a mom is burning out?
Okay. There are different signs. Number one, if for example you find yourself, lashing out, you just being aggressive, being what do you call it? Just being, let's say, lashing out or being aggressive, that could be it. Also, even other things like you're struggling to sleep, you can't sleep, your mind is not settled, or even as simple as you can't even enjoy the moment. You can't enjoy the moment. Yes, I'm not saying that everything is all rosy, but you can't even just sit down and be settled to, like, enjoy people's company, basic things, and just enjoy the moment on your own. Burnout is beginning to set in. But ideally, every parent should incorporate a form of rest system in their schedule. Don't wait till you burn out. You should have a rest system. Even if your child has extreme needs, that's why in most countries, maybe not in some parts of Africa, but in most advanced countries, what we call, they have respite services or they can have care services. And if you don't even have it, maybe family, friends, or all those kind of people. So rest is incorporated into their normal schedule. So maybe like once a week you take out time, or once a weekend a month you take out time. So you don't even wait till you burn out. Do you understand? But one of the ways you know you're burning out is if you become very unsettled, if you become, you just begin to snap, that kind of thing. Begin to snap at everybody, snap at everyone. Or you find yourself not being able to sleep. You find yourself, will I say, I don't want to say, depressed looks like a big word, but that's a layman word, Just find yourself down that I think the easiest way that you cannot enjoy the moment. You cannot live in the moment. You cannot, how do I put it? The vigor that you had before is beginning to die down, or even the vision or the passion, the drive that you had is beginning to wane. Burnout is beginning to set in. Burnout is beginning to set in. So even if the vigor is not burning, but you find yourself that you can't really enjoy the moment, you find yourself that even as simple as, negative, thoughts, that doubts, all those things, your minds are becoming bombarded. You can't enjoy them, you can't rest, you can't sleep, you can't even just think positive, just thinking all negative. Then burnout is beginning to set in. So what you just do is that just take a break. Like I said, it's a journey. There is no hurry. Nothing will happen if you take a break. Just take a break and take a moment, but incorporate a form of rest into your normal schedule. Look for something that you like, maybe even if it's once a month, every Saturday or something that can be a form of how do I put it, rejuvenation for you. Do you understand? If you have family member that you can trust, maybe Saturdays you can take some time off, or you can help you look after your child depending on the level of need of the child. And if you have someone, maybe you have a close friend or somebody, have somebody accountable to. Have someone you can talk to. Whether you can have a friend, a sister, a coach, a mentor, a therapist, depending. Depending on the dynamic of your dealing. Have someone as an outlet that you can talk to, that is a trusted person. But remember that the person will align with your faith. You must have some friends that when you mistakenly even say something negative, they jack you up and say, no, don't speak like that. Those kind of friends. Those friends that you pick up the phone, you finish talking to them, you feel like you can conquer the world. But some friends, when you finish talking to them, it's like all your dreams die. So you don't need those kind of people around you. So you must have those kind of people. So when you get to that kind of point, those are the people that you pick up the phone. That when they hear your voice, they understand what is going on. They can speak life back into you. So having that kind of system would help you. So you don't, like I said, it doesn't have to be the closest people around you. You understand? Because the family may not be your greatest cheerleader. But you can find that in a mentor, in a coach, in a therapist, in a friend, depending. In a church community, your pastor, whoever that is a trusted person. Have somebody that you can, always talk to, because don't wait till you bottle up. When you bottle up and bottle up. Another thing also is that be very conscious of what you watch and listen to. And I tell people all the time. I even tell people that jokingly that there's some movies that I don't watch. All these movies that somebody's marriage now broke up, the husband now went to jail. I don't watch it. She now came back after. I don't watch those kind of movies. Even though it's a Christian movie, and someone suffered, they lied against him, they went to prison for 35 years and came back. I don't watch those kind of movies because my marriage is not going to break up. Not that I'm not going to go to prison. So people find those things very, like it's humble. I don't watch those kind of content. Any content that does not align with what is aligning with my faith, I don't consume. I don't read books like that. I don't read stories like that. I read stories of hope. Oh, somebody got a miracle. God showed up for somebody. That's what I got to feel that I want. Not somebody who is not married. She's been divorced 3 times. She's now 53. God is now coming for her. No, I'm not going to divorce. I don't listen. I don't read those. I'm not judging people like that. But she's not sent to me. She's sent to somebody that is divorced, like her. She's not sent to me. So, whatever book she writes, whatever anointing she carries, I'm not interested. I'm sorry to say. But you understand what I'm saying? Because that's what I find. So if your child has a challenge, don't watch programs of children who now have your child's challenge. They now died. They now didn't turn out well. You are feeding yourself with things that are contradicting your faith. It doesn't mean you're judging those people. You're feeding yourself with that. Watch people who had your child's challenge and they're now doing better. God came through for them. It does something to you because you can tell God that God can show up for this person. God can show up for my child. So don't feed yourself with all these stories that touch. Somebody now did something, the child now died. Something now after 3 children that died. She now finally now had twins. What kind of nonsense is that? If you're believing God for a child, for example, come listen to people that now have 5 miscarriages. Don't listen to things except people that are sharing from a place, because what happens is that people don't realize that people's pain is actually supposed to bring out something that is a solution. So the solution is not you coming to tell me I had 5 miscarriages. What do I want to use it for? I don't need it. But in those your 5 miscarriages, if you found something from God that could help somebody not to go through that should be your victory. But most of the time, people don't come out with a victory or mantle like that. What they come out with is stories. So don't be listening to those kind of testimonies. After, okay, she now has 5 miscarriages, you cry. So what did you learn from it? Nothing. Except she's sharing life and say, okay, if I had known this, God took me on this journey. So you can now follow this journey and I shorten your process for you. So watch who you are listening to. Don't read testimonies, don't watch all those things. Behold the few picture of what you want to see for your child and for yourself. You understand that kind of thing? Those are the things you should build and those kind of testimonies.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Okay, so 1 second, just give me a second, please.
It's okay, yes. Thank you everyone for waiting. We'll still be rounding up soon. In few minutes, we'll be rounding off. Thank you for staying with us so far. I hope you're learning. If you have questions, please drop them in the comments so we can take them before we round off. Any questions that you have, please do well to drop them in the comments, and would also this will be saved on my page, so you can come back to have a replay. You can rewind, you can pause, you can take notes, you can always come back to have a replay. Thank you very much for staying this long. We'll be rounding off very soon.
Okay, yes, sorry. So yeah, I think I will answer the question.
Yes, you have. So I was going to say, is it possible for a mom to go through all of this?
Mhm.
And as you said, it's a journey. And it takes patience, takes intentionality, takes discipline, and all of that. So while going through all of this, can a mom still like thrive? Can she still achieve her goals? Can she still pursue that dream and you know be successful in it? Like, is it
Yeah,
possible?
yeah, like I said, it's perspective. It's perspective of what you think, what thriving means to you, or what success means to you. So what happens, like I was saying, is that most of us, we always have these dreams. We had all your dreams. Like now, when you were young, you had these dreams. Like so most of us are had to japa because I have
Mm,
a lot of parents that I talk to, and a lot
mm,
of women as well. They may not have children with special needs, but they look at their lives that they're not where they thought they were going to be because maybe you didn't think we were going to be here in the last 10 years. You understand? So it now looks like the life that you have is different from the life that you dreamt of or you wished for yourself. So I think that's always where the conflict is. Most of the time when the parents have that, when the mother has that child, it's like when the child comes now, the child has come to alter
mm,
everything she imagined. So the struggle to now realign yourself, your dreams, your purpose, your vision. That's where the struggle. Because most of the time you feel like if you are doing any other thing or you think about any other thing, you feel it's less. And I always tell people that it's not necessarily less. There are so many ways you can give expression to a vision. So, for example, if I always had a vision that I wanted to work with children, for example, and I thought that I'll be a pediatrician, for example, and I can't be a pediatrician, but of course, if I understand that vision, working with children doesn't mean I have to be a pediatrician. I can be a pediatrician. I can own motherless babies home. I can write children's book. I can be a student, children's teacher. I can be a teens coach. I'm still impacting children, am I not?
mm-hmm,
So such a mom, like I said, is perspective. What you should think about is that your child has not come to disrupt your life. This
mm-hmm,
is just a challenge on your parenting journey. And every
mm,
parent or everyone will have a challenge on their journey. What that looks like will be different. This is what
mm-hmm.
yours looks like. So just embrace it and face it. But how can you now go back to thriving? Just like I said, see, that's why I was talking about going back to God in the first place, because God is the author, God is the beginning. So many things, challenges you will face, but if you can go back and now think about yourself, what are your dreams? What were the things that you wanted to do? How can you begin to, even if right at that time, what you want to do eventually? Because sometimes, our dreams or our visions, they're in stages. And whether you like it or not, what people don't realize is that there's no season that is a waste.
Mm,
Every season, there's something about that season that you will need in the future. So
mm,
even if it will not align, but if you waste that season, You see, that season will be over. Who you should have become, you won't become it. When you now get to that place you wanted to get, you will get there, but you'll be empty. Because that season was your making. So don't waste any season. Every season you are able to ask God, God, what am I supposed to be doing in this season? Who am I supposed to be? You know, as simple as being at home to even nurse your children, or being at home because your child has special and you can't even walk. Do you know what you can do with being at home? I was talking to a mom one day. I mean, she's in therapy. I mean, she called me and just ranting, and she's angry at her husband because she's at home nursing and all that and all that. And I asked her, "You're at home 6 hours a day. What are you doing with it?" She said, when she wants to pray at 4 o'clock, that when her baby will wake up. I said, you change your prayer time. You have 6 hours a day. You can't sit down to intercede for the future. You can't sit down to intercede and bet. What are you betting for? So it's perspective. It's perspective. See, it's a law of difference, not less. Once you get to that point that it is a law of it is different, it's not less. It will help you. You know, what happens to people is number one, comparison. You're comparing yourself with someone where my mates are, where this one is doing. That's the concept. That's why you're feeling less. You know, I tell people, greatness is on your inside. Greatness is not what you do. Greatness is who you are. If I become a plumber today, I'll be great. Because I'm the one that makes whatever I'm doing great. If you have to sell jollof rice, you can make that thing great. So it's perspective. So don't go away from the victim mindset. However, you can't hold on to certain dreams. By the time I'm 30, I want to be a hostess. Now you have children. Where are you going to put them? You can't be a hostess. You can have some dreams that are not realistic with the current situation. But what you should sit down in your current season, depending. You may have to be at home for a while, depending on the kind of therapy your child has or whatever. Sit down and begin to seek God. What can I do? And because what happens is that when you begin to have a different perspective, opportunities will open up around you. Ideas will open up of things you can do. They may not be the eventual end, but they can be the start. See, every season, you can do purpose in every season. You can have joy in every season and get something out of every season. There's somebody you must be becoming every season. If you are nursing your baby at home for 6 months and 1 year, and you come out and you have not become, how can you be at home 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day? You can't deposit 4 hours of intercession. That baby you're carrying, you can't bet for the future of that child and have things that God has spoken to you that you're waiting. And yet you're at home for 6 months and you're just sleeping because you're not seeing baby. What are you talking about? You can't sit down to study your Bible. You can't learn skill online. You can't do so many things. This is perspective. It's perspective now. And you know what happens also? That season may open up another chapter to you that you didn't even think, and even redirect and open another dream. You had people who decided something, before you know, they decided one business, before you know it, they were finding fulfillment. They didn't even go the route they wanted to go anymore. So it's all about perspective. Even if you are selling rice now, is it that your rice? There's somebody you are supposed to become. There's something you're supposed to need that you will need in your future. So what happens to most people is that they arrive at that future and they mess up because the training ground, you don't choose your training ground. You don't choose what is your training season. You don't choose it. So every season, there's something you can learn. There's somebody you are supposed to become. So like I said, perspective. So what is thriving? That's what I'm telling you that's what thriving is. Thriving is recognizing that in every season, I'm the one that brings greatness into my season. Whether I have money or I don't have money, whether it's only your husband that is working. How should that disturb your joy? If God has you to be in that season, God will make sure that you don't lack. And if there's lack, you go back to God. So I'm saying that you seek God because the answers are there. But they may not be what you want to hear. That's the thing. Most of us want what you want to hear. May not be what you want to hear. You know, some seasons of our own, that may be the best time to even sow intimacy most with your husband. You don't even know. Because you know the next season now is traveling, you're traveling. And if you have not built that is gone. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's so it's perspective. Perspective. Even if there are opportunities around you, you won't see it because you are so occupied with how you are a victim, or your mates have been promoted, you are not promoted, you are there. So you won't even see opportunities.
Just focus on the negative,
Exactly. So see the positive. Build yourself. Build yourself. You understand? Even if you don't know anything to do, you don't have anything, start by building yourself. You're at home, we can read now. You have Wi-Fi. You can borrow books from library. Or you have books. Start reading. Start praying. Start reading your Bible. When you can't start reading, start praying. Start seeking God. I didn't just say pray, I'll seek. When you're seeking for answer. Start seeking. Even your child, start praying, start seeking. And keep an open mind. Start reading, start building yourself. Even if you don't know anything, do anything. Read, do courses as much as simple as you can. There's YouTube there. Then pour
Lots
yourself
of
into positive,
resources.
learn something new, challenge yourself to learn something new, learn a new language, learn a new instrument, learn how to do this. Just do something. Such that by the time your mind frees up, you will see opportunity. Then volunteer. Even if there's nothing to do, volunteer. You can volunteer in your church, volunteer in missions, volunteer in your church, join a service group in your church and do something. Add to yourself. You understand? Don't see yourself as a victim. Don't measure yourself by any standards. Then don't have people around you. Like later I was talking about. I said those are friends, so-called friends, were the ones flaunting. I said those are not your friends. You get rid of them. Friends that come and be flaunting their promotion at you because they are told they're not your friends. So who are the people around you? Who are you talking to? Who are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are you beholding? So those are some of the things that will shape your perspective. So behold the right picture, listen to the right things, feed yourself with the right things, and that's his perspective. When you're saying thriving, it's perspective. The child has a challenge, it's not the end of the world. You understand that kind of thing? Navigate it. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. You understand that kind of thing? Yeah. And stay positive and be positive about it.
I agree with you. I usually say this as well, that when that child gets to the age where he can communicate or all of that, the child would ask you that, mom, what were you doing that you did not develop this, especially when the child sees other parents, they're thriving, they're able to do things for themselves. That child that you want to use as an excuse will still come back to
Mhm.
ask you that, what were you doing at this certain age? And this vision was actually bettered when I was, I resonated with everything you said. It was when I was in maternity that God dropped this idea in my heart, and I started creating content for mom, especially in diaspora, first time moms, because I'm also a first time mom, and I've seen that it has helped a lot of other first time moms like me, my friends, and all of that. So there's always something that you can get out of every season, and God is always speaking in every season. All you need to do is just, to listen, just as you said. So, just as we round off, how would you say moms can use their voices to advocate for their kids, especially when they're in an environment where nobody understands, or a lot of people around them don't understand what it is that the child is facing, and maybe in school, how can they use their voice to advocate for their children amidst different cultures that they find themselves, especially for blacks, s- like some of us who are, in a country that is a mixed race, and they are more of the white than the black. So in situations like that, how would you say that a mom can stand up to her for her child and use her voice to advocate for her child?
What I would say first of all is from a place of knowledge. Most times, most of us in diaspora say they don't listen to us. It's not true. See, value is a universal currency. Substance is a universal currency. They may not like you, but if you speak value, people will listen to you. People may not
Mm,
like you, but when you drop value, the people will listen to you, even though they don't like you. So I say value, faith, substance are universal currencies. If you carry healing anointing and somebody needs it, whether it's black or whether you come when they come. When Ben
mhm.
Carson separated his Siamese twins, did anybody say he's black?
It's
Didn't they
black.
listen? Do you understand? So I think that that's where we should always come from. Most of the time we always come from this mindset that it's not true. I
Mm,
always say that we are the ones we look down on ourselves first. If you don't look down on yourself, nobody can do it. There's the way you enter a place that
mhm,
you are the one that I can't be intimidated. You are the one that will be intimidated. But you have to come from a place of knowledge and light. Those two things. And I would say this one thing also, that I talked about knowledge, but I talked about light. One thing I've come to realize is that in not just here where we are, not just diaspora, that we are everywhere, but most importantly in diaspora, you have to not just be a person of mind, you have to be a person of the spirit. Because no matter how intellectual you are, when you jam the spirit realm, whether it's the positive or the negative side, to defeat you. So you
mm,
don't just show up with intellect. If you show up with intellect, you can't match the devil with intellect now. What you
mm.
can match the devil with is the spirit. So
Mm,
one thing, the way you can dominate wherever, is not just your intellect or your spirit. Because if intellect jams spiritual, demonic spiritual, to conquer you. So parents must understand that. So you can't be parenting. Parenting is spiritual. Can't be anyhow. You understand? Even if your child has additional whatever, there are certain zones you get into. Those are not normal zones. Most of our schools are not normal places. Whether we want to hear it or not. Most of our teachers are not normal. But there's a place you show up. There's a way you show up that everybody knows that what you carry. You understand? Okay, so you understand. So I was talking about knowledge. Okay,
Yeah.
so how do you advocate for your child? You advocate from a place of knowledge and light. The light part is what you do in your closet. You don't have to come there. I don't have to come to their school and be saying I'm a Christian praying in tongues. I don't have to do that. I settle that in my closet. So that informs where I even take my child. So most of us just put our children in school, and that's the only school in my area. I don't have a choice. No,
Yeah.
don't do that. You understand that kind of where you I'm living in that place, that's the only place. That's not the only place.
Yeah.
You have to be where God wants you to be part-time. Your child has to be where God. Sometimes God will say it's time to move. You have to move.
Yeah.
You understand that kind of, so you have to have that accuracy because you can't make a choice and God is coming to comply with your choice. No. If you go to a place where there's no covering, you're at risk. You understand that kind of thing? That's the first thing. Then from the place of knowledge. How do you advocate? You advocate for knowledge. So when you go and you understand your identity, talk about your identity as a parent. Most parents don't understand their identity. They think the school is doing them a favor. They think the therapists are doing them a favor. So when you're talking to them, you're talking to them from a place of help me now. When you come from a place of knowledge, you know you're right. You're not rude, you know. You come with honor. I realize a lot of us Africans, I'm trying to say, we don't know how to show honor. You're going to your child's school, you go and see the teacher. You're going empty-handed. This teacher, parent, how can you be having meeting with your children's teacher and you don't buy anything? That's dishonor. I'm not saying that's not bribe. When I want to go to my children's school, I carry roses. Icebreaker now. Carry gifts. It's not bribe, it's honor.
Pour the water forward.
Yeah. Christmas is coming. Somebody has taught your child from January to December. You can't buy gifts for your children's teacher. I'm not talking about one miserable cup that will give that is your kitchen. You're not using it. I'm talking about honorable gifts. You wrap it, you present it in a honorable way. You buy a card, not card that they wrote, an empty card, and you write with your hand. Thank you for being a partner with my journey. Or get your child that your child can write. So a lot of us, we just want to be using some of these things are not they're principle. Do you understand? Yes, you already know that, oh, you are black, the thing about this, they're already defensive. So you need to be wise. They're defensive already. So when you first of all come with that gesture, you've already sent a message that I'm not here to fight. I'm here to partner with you. So some of us have to know how to talk to, how to know how to approach. Then come with knowledge. Advocate for your child. Also, don't just say what you don't want them to do. Come with suggestions. That's what I was talking about. If you are informed, things that you are working, they are doing that are working, who your child is. So if you are going into a new class, a new school, you should write out about your child. Yes, they have challenges, but they have that beauty about them. Look for strength about them. Introduce your child to the teacher. Mention the challenges they have, how they can navigate certain things. Mention where you're coming from and the things you have been doing and you have brought them up to this point. So they see you to that you're not a responsible parent. Do you understand? You know, and you're here to partner with them. You're open to suggestions, but you take charge, but from a place of knowledge. From a place of knowledge. And you lead the pack. So you need to understand your rights. So if you are designing an IEP for your child, for example, that's the individualized education plan. They call it, is there IHCP or something in the UK? What are the goals for your child? Do you have goals for your child? So when imagine you go to the teacher, you already have goals. You discuss with them. But you're not telling them, these are your goals, but you know, they are professional, they can part-time. What do they think about it? You're championing things, you're doing things that are working, you're bringing suggestions. But when you bring those suggestions, don't just dump into them. If you have things that are working, buy them, bring them, show them, partner with them, go back and forth. That's how you advocate for your child. You advocate with knowledge and light. It's with knowledge. And you be proactive. You understand?
And
Be
from a place of
proactive.
pity.
Yes. Not from a place of pity. Then when they bring suggestion, you wait. If your child is doing 9 subjects, you can come and tell them that can you drop down the subject to 5? And you give them reasons. You know, when you talk with facts and reasons, people are not dumb now. They listen to you, they know we are know what we are talking about. Then another thing is that you can't be in diaspora and you don't know the law. You've never gone to read about the law of special needs or disability, and you don't know. So you must know some of those things. So you know the grounds of what you should be. So when you are demanding things, you know what you're demanding on the grounds of the law. You should know what is available to you, the kind of insurance that's available, the conditions, what the government expects from the school, what government funds the school. So when you're talking, you are making reference to facts. So they know you know what you're talking about. They're not just talking from head knowledge. When you
Mm.
demand things, with facts. You understand that kind of thing? Communicate appropriately. You should know how to do all those things. Don't communicate with emails, because you must always communicate with evidence.
Yeah.
Don't tolerate any phone call, no. Everything must be
Mhm.
documented. They need
Yeah.
to do it honorably. Email
Mm.
them, use language that is honorable. You understand that kind of thing. Be very professional with them, very cordial with them, but you know what you're doing. Yes. And when you show up, don't show up like a victim. Show up like you're in charge. No matter what they tell you about your child, don't break down. They say, no big deal. No shaking. When they see you like you're not shaking, I'm in charge. Because you know God is in charge. Yeah, you can't do this today. Yeah, you can't do this today. You will learn
You
it.
will.
Maybe a
Yeah.
matter of time. You have
Yeah.
that kind of mindset.
Mm.
If one teacher comes say that he can't teach, you know what, you get somebody else to go and teach him. And it also advocating also means that you also stepping up. There's some things that if you have to become some things to your child, you have to be. If you have to become a piano teacher to your child, go and learn piano and teach your child. If your child has to learn swim, go and learn the swim and teach your child. Or they're going for sports, go and volunteer and chaperone your child. So don't have that victim mindset. You step up. They say they can't do something. There's no problem. You get somebody else to do it. Or there's no problem. Don't have this victim. Hey, as if no, the world has not ended. The child has a long time ahead of them. And you know they will catch up. If you don't have answer today, you have answer tomorrow. Move. So don't hold on to things. If you don't have answer today, drop it. Move on to the next one. Do what you can do. And while you trust God to open up for other things that will come up. So that's how you advocate. You advocate with knowledge and light, like I said. Because as you seek God, God gives you ideas. God gives you, God shows you what to do. God brings the right people around you. You can pray the right therapist. You can pray the wrong therapist away. You can pray the wrong teacher away. You can pray the right friend. Because this kind of thing, yeah. So how do you also send your child to school? The school year is coming. How do you prepare? So on the morning of the day you are praying. You know those things like that. 2026 is coming now. You should be that's on deposits of prayer you deposit ahead. Your child is starting school next week.
Yeah.
There's a structured way you do those kind of things. You have a structured way. I don't have time to teach you another one, but anyway, those kind of things. So, so you are prepared for the days ahead, things like that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lola. So, what are your final words for that woman, for that mom who is watching right now and who would come watch you? What are your final words for her?
Okay. So, my final words is from Jeremiah 31, verse 15 to 17. And that's the anchor scripture for autism meaning that I do. And the Bible says that lamentation was heard in Ramah, Rachel weeping for her children because she refused to be comforted for they were not. But thus said the Lord, refrain their voice from weeping and from their eyes from crying. God says he sees you, all your works shall be rewarded. And he said, all their children shall come back from the land of the enemy. There is hope in their end. So what I want to say to you is that, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I don't want you to give up. God sees you. God sees your cry. God sees your effort. And all your children shall come back to their border of destiny. That's how I pray it for people. Their border of destiny. You understand? There's hope in that. God says that the thoughts I have towards you, of peace and not evil, to give you a future and a hope. So what I would just say to you is that if you have never sought God about your child, go back and seek God. Get a book and seek. If you have 4 children, you should have ideally 4 books for all your children. You should be getting communication for your children so that when they get to the age that they are older, you can hand over that book to them as a communication of what you have received from God since they were born. So forget that whether your child is not talking, forget what the doctor says. Doctor is doing their job, you do your job. The best of men are still men. And whether you like it or not, science is progressive. The condition of we didn't have answers for years ago in science, even in science, that we have answers for. So science may have limitation, God does not have limitation. You understand? So forget whatever the doctor says, seek God for that child. And as you journey, document your journey, because there's somebody that you must become with this journey. You don't want to arrive at the end empty, because somebody else will need who you are becoming. You should be able to take somebody else on that road and shorten that journey. If you don't do that, then you would have failed. So don't waste your process. Don't waste your pain. You understand? Don't journey like a victim. Journey like a victor. And see your child's challenges as it's just the challenges that come as a package on your journey, but don't settle for less. Because when people talk about acceptance, to me, acceptance is not settling in a diagnosis and weighing a label. No, acceptance is accepting that your child has a diagnosis, but giving it your best. Whatever God, the only thing you shouldn't believe for is whatever God cannot do. That's the only thing. Somebody said that you are believing too much. As long as it's within the scope of God, then you are not believing too much. But as long as it's outside what God can do, they are believing too much. So don't let anybody counter your faith. As long as it's within the scope of what God can do, you walk the road and there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very, 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 very much. And there's really nothing that God cannot do. There's nothing he can't do. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Thank you for, oh my God, so much to take in, so much knowledge. I would also sit down and replay this over and over again and then take proper notes. Thank you for accepting to do this. And even though you are like very early, it's about 4 a.m. now, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
4:20 in Australia, and you chose to do this. God bless you. May God reward your labor of love in Jesus' name. And may God send help to you and your family in Jesus' name. Thank you, everyone, for staying tuned. God bless you all. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Ma.
everyone.
I
Bye.
hope if we
Thank you.
invite you next time, it would be a yes again from you.
I'll be
Thank you
happy
so
to come back.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye. Have a
much.
good one.
Bye, ma. Have a good day, ma.
Bye.
Bye,
You too.
everyone.